All right, and we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. Obviously, at the time of this recording, the Phoenix Suns are, I believe, the 12 seed, right? They're probably not going to make the playoffs, and they have two of the top 15 players in basketball in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. There's been a lot of rumors. It was speculated that Kevin Durant was going to get traded at the deadline, and there was a lot of stuff that he was going to get traded this offseason. Since he didn't get traded at the deadline, Windhorst pretty much came out and said he's done after this season. He's going to go out there and be professional the rest of the year, try to win every game, but after this season, he's done in Phoenix, and his next chapter will be somewhere else. So I want to talk about the next spot for Kevin Durant. I want to talk about some good spots, some bad spots, where I think he'll end up, and First off, I want to talk about one of the worst spots. I do think that one of the worst spots for Kevin Durant would be Golden State, right? Obviously, they tried to trade for him beforehand. Durant kind of nixed the trade, is what it was reported, right? Jimmy Butler would have been in Phoenix, KD back with the Warriors, but KD made it clear he did not want to go back. And then he was on the Draymond Green show with Baron Davis and Draymond Green, and he kind of explained why. He said he didn't want to move. He obviously understands that why teams would want to trade for him, but he wants to play the season out, and if that's the decision he wants to make in the offseason, they can figure it out. But also consider the audience, right? He's on Draymond Green's podcast. He wasn't, if Draymond Green was an issue in terms of why he wanted to go back or didn't want to go back, rather, he wouldn't have about to tell Draymond on his podcast straight to his face, right? And the tension that led to his exit from the organization in the first place could boil back to the surface if he went, right? Draymond Green is as competitive as ever, and Draymond, KD, and Steph 6 years older, right, than the last time they played together. It might not lead to the same dominance, and if you're not dominating, then that tension that was there before might just continue to rise to the surface. One of the best spots I want to talk about is the Houston Rockets, right? Obviously, Houston Rockets, they're one of the best young teams in basketball. They have a very big contract in Fred VanVleet's $44.9 million. That could be a nice trade chip, right? And if the Suns are interested in KD deals to tip off a rebuild, they should be. Fred VanVleet, a couple prospects, couple picks. That would be an intriguing package, right? Under the new CBA, VanVleet's contract makes the salaries work to where they're getting less money back. The Rockets have plenty of sweeteners. I believe the Rockets have Phoenix's own picks, which would be huge for Phoenix if they're looking to start a rebuild. And then Durant, surrounding him with a gritty, physical, defense-first supporting cast like the one that the Houston Rockets have, would be exactly what he needs. Flanked by the Rockets' scheme, KD can focus what he does best, right? Putting the ball in the damn basket and playing alongside a high endpoint center, like someone like Alperen Sengun, would give him plenty of looks to do just that. Gonna go back and forth. One of the worst spots I think could be the Dallas Mavericks, right? The chance to team up with Kyrie Irving again is enticing, right? There's a reason he went to Brooklyn in the first place. Kyrie Irving was one of those big reasons. Don't be surprised if Kyrie's name comes up in response to the KD rumors, right? But I just don't see it. Even though the Mavericks have a lack of shot creation, they do have a lot of size and defense, right? And Durant would obviously help on the shot creation front. You know, Kyrie a wing or guard, KD a wing, Anthony Davis a big would be a big three in terms of positional, versatility, and there's no overlap, redundancy, right? But I don't think Durant should try to walk into the mess that is the Mavericks organization, right? There's no logical explanation for the Luka trade, but that still hasn't stopped Nico Harrison in that front office from trying to manufacture one. I think players should legitimately be wary of joining the Mavericks with this current front office. If the team is capable of leaking stories and takes in an effort to make Luka look worse and make the trade better, I mean, what else would they do? Less Luka, what would they do to you? Also, all three of them are over 30. KD's 36. The injury bug isn't exactly kind to both Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant at this point. This trio feels it would be very combustible, just as the one in Brooklyn was. One of the best spots for KD to me would be the Miami Heat, right? Now, is this necessarily the best deal for the Miami Heat? Maybe not. Also, obviously, in the wake of the Jimmy Butler trade, they should probably think about getting younger, getting draft picks, getting a supporting cast that maximizes Hero and Bam. But if Durant's going to leave the Sun, and if he has any say in where he wants to go, he has to have some Eastern Conference teams on his radar, right? Being in the West is part of the reason KD and the Suns are in the position they're in. They're 11th place in the West, but they're they have more wins than the 9th place team in the East, so they'd be in the Eastern Conference play-in at least. The East has been inferior the last 2 decades. If he wants a third championship, his odds are better in the East than in the West. And on top of it, the Miami trade package is a little easier to envision, right? The salary matching aspect is just taken care of by Wiggins and Rozier. So at that point, you just got to find the sweeteners to make Phoenix say yes. Going it back out West, one of the worst spots for him would be the Clippers, right? Every time there's a big market player that comes on the board, the Clippers are reportedly available, in that conversation, but they would have a lot of the same problems the Mavericks would have, right? Kawhi, just like AD, is post-prime and injury-prone. James Harden, like Irving, is post-prime, and we've already seen a partnership between him and KD end in a team teardown. We've actually seen them break up twice. And landing Durant would cost the Clippers a lot of the depth that has helped them stay competitive even after losing Paul George. Is Durant enough to make up for all that? Who knows? Leaning into another top-heavy roster doesn't really make much sense when you can just wait out the contracts of Kawhi Leonard in 27 and James Harden, who has a player option for next season, and just start fresh. Staying out west, though, one of the best spots would be returning home to where it all started. I mean, I guess that's not technically true because that was Seattle, but Oklahoma City, right? One of the best scorers in league history. He's already played for 4 different teams. If he moves this summer, it'll be his 3rd team in the last half decade, last 5 years, obviously going from Golden State to Brooklyn to Phoenix, right? But why not give him a chance to go home and, go back where it all started and have a full circle moment, right? A return to Oklahoma City after 8 years away is very easy to sell from a nostalgia standpoint, and from a league rating standpoint and a watchability standpoint, it's huge as well. Gives his career a little more continuity, and it makes basketball sense, which is objectively the most important, right? Kevin Durant and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would instantly become probably the most dangerous 1-2 scoring punch in the NBA, and they can cobble enough, the Thunder can cobble enough salary with little more than just giving up Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort, or maybe even Alex Caruso instead, and they have tons of draft capital to spend, right? And whatever's left of the roster with KD would be well equipped to cover his absence on defense. Now the Thunder, you've already done half the season without Chet and half the season without Hartenstein, so you see this roster, they're 45 and 10. You don't need both of them. Getting Kevin Durant and getting that 3-level A tier scorer to pair along with Shai, that pushes J-Dub to the 3 option or Chet. Dude, that team was unstoppable. And the final team I want to talk about isn't really a team at all. It's more of just like a situation in general. Any team that can't contend the moment Kevin Durant walks in the door should not even think about trying to trade for Kevin Durant, right? Durant's 36. He stores Achilles. He's still averaging 27-4 on 2 threes, but he doesn't move the same. That's not how it works. Even LeBron, who was dominating basketball at the age of 40, he's not the same player as he was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's how it works. But it doesn't make any sense for him to be on a team that isn't in the title conversation the moment he shows up. Which, again, a lot of the teams that I mentioned, right, Oklahoma City would be, right? I don't know if Miami would be, but the reason I said that, or Houston, but the reason I said those 2 teams is because Houston's young, they can still develop, and then obviously Miami in the East, right? The Warriors, I know that they probably would be more of a title contender than Houston or Miami, but I just don't know if the tension that led to his initial leaving of Golden State is gone. Dallas Mavericks, again, they would be great if they could stay healthy, but I just don't bet on that. The Clippers, I don't think they're a title contender with him in there. And there's a lot of teams, right? If you're trading for Kevin Durant and you're not a title contender, it doesn't make any sense for him to be there, and Durant's next shot at a championship will be his last. So I hope he gets one. Kevin Durant was one of my favorite players growing up. His career is very, maligned based on the decision to go join the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, but hey, I enjoyed Kevin Durant watching him play basketball, and I hope he continues to play it for as long as he can because it's a joy to the eyes. If you enjoyed this, make sure to comment down below what you want to see me do next. Make sure to like and subscribe. And YouTube thinks you're going to like this video. Find out if they're right.